I was scrolling through my Instagram and I came across the story right here that my cousin had put up on her page. And I said, I definitely got to talk about this one because I'm noticing a pattern that is going on when it comes to black employees who work at fast food restaurants. But I'm going to tell you what the pattern is once I really get into the story. So in this picture, you see a young woman by the name of Sharteasha Hicks. She's 30 years old and she worked at a Burger King in Florida when all of that pretty much came to a head when she got into it with a very unruly and rude customer. So basically what occurred was you had this customer come through her drive-thru. Her and the customer got into an argument, and the argument kind of got physical in the sense that the customer threw or squirted mayo in her face. The customer either threw the packet in her face or squirted it in her face. According to her sister, she said he either threw it or he squirted it. Either way, the condiment ended up on her face. So this happened in the drive-thru, and then he drives off and then parks in the parking lot. Then suddenly Sharteasha goes out of the store, out of the Burger King, runs to her car, gets her gun, and then fires off multiple shots at the car. Now, right now, they don't know if any of the bullets hit the individual who was in the car, but they do know that the person ended up driving off. And currently, right now, as the time of me recording this video, they're actually searching for the person in which she shot at. So, of course, naturally, Sharteasha ends up leaving. She takes the gun, put it in her car, and she drives off. Eventually, they do end up finding her because, the cameras was able to track her car, probably gain a license plate, and they were able to find her at her home where she was arrested. And I believe she got hit with a $1,000 bond, which I think she was able to get out of because 10%, that's only $100. But they said she fired 5 shots at the vehicle as this person drove away. Now, I don't know what made this person think that it would have been a good idea after they did that to just park in the parking lot. I guess they probably thought this person was not going to come after them, but you were being very disrespectful and sprayed something in this person's face. And that's what ended up happening. Then they actually not only interviewed her sister, but they also talked to her aunt, and her aunt said she was protecting herself. She was defending herself. And she says, I don't blame her. Everybody else might, but I don't. So her family's pretty much on code with her in that aspect. Now, the pattern that I'm noticing here when it comes to black employees at these fast food restaurants, it seems like they have a target on their back. A target on their back in the sense of it seems that a lot of these customers keep trying these black employees all the time. Like they get in their face, or they get very argumentative with them, or they keep trying to take them to the point where they reach a boiling point. Like, for example, like I gave when you had the white customer come in and literally try to pull the black customer over the counter by her collar all over a straw, of all things. Then you had another customer, this was a black woman, came in there and got into it with, I think, the manager at a McDonald's, and the manager was a black man, and they got into it with her. And if y'all saw the video, she had threw food at him or something like that, and then he took a coffee pot and launched it at her, and that thing connected with her face. Like, she literally had a huge scar in the middle of her face from that. She actually fell back from that incident, that happening. Then, of course, the most recent one I saw, I talked about with the teenager Prince Ned, who was killed by Christopher Track. It started off as a fight, and then he went and got a gun and he shot and killed him. And now you have this incident right here with this young lady who was black because someone threw or squirted mayo in her face. And then she went and got her gun and shot at the person who did it. So are y'all seeing the pattern here? It's like a lot of these black employees who work at these fast food establishments just have no protection whatsoever. It seems like everybody keeps trying them, and just to see what aspect can they get away with how badly they are treating them. In my opinion, they don't pay these employees enough money to deal with the foolishness of a lot of these customers who think that the customer is always right. I think that's probably one of the worst quotes ever created, because the customer is not always right, especially when they're doing something like this. Now, it should have never gotten to a point where in an argument that you take some mayo and throw it or open it up and squirt it in somebody's face. It should never get to that point. But see, the thing is, a lot of these customers have such an ego that they think they can do anything to these employees and nothing's going to happen to them, because they feel like, oh, if this person attacks me back, then, you know, I'm going to have their job. They're going to be this, going to be that. And like I said, they have not apprehended or gotten in contact with the person in which shot at her car, or not shot at her car, but the person who kicked all of this off, because they know that they can build something up, most likely, to say she was within her rights to do what she did. But guess what? We are in Florida. She is a black woman. You know how that self-defense thing really or rarely ever works in the favor of black people, no matter what the age or the gender. We have been down this road so many times before. So I don't know if the self-defense thing is actually going to work in her favor, even though and although it should. But then again, remember, I just did a video about a former football player who has some dub S roll up onto his property and start try to popping off with him, and he defends himself, and he can't even get a stand your ground defense in his claim. So if I know it won't work for him, it most definitely won't work for her. Especially because they always try to rewrite how the rules of self-defense and stand your ground works when it comes to black people. But that's them taking both sides. One side works for them and the other side don't work for us. Or the side that should work for them or should work for everybody, but we know how that goes. And then unfortunately, you're going to probably have some other black people out here that are going to be looking at her and calling her all kinds of names, because they're looking at her mugshot and saying, oh, she just fits the stereotype, or she fits the type. Why does she have to go that far? Listen, if you are one of those people, fuck you. That's the only way I can plainly put it. But hopefully she can move from this and go forward, because I know that they hit her definitely with some charges, because I think the charges that she got hit with was, let me make sure I'm scrolling through, because she did get hit with some charges. I'm just scrolling through. Give me a minute. Charged with discharging a firearm in public after the incident. That's what she was charged with, discharging a firearm in public. But yeah, that's the story I really wanted to bring to you. And like I said, I just wanted you all to notice the pattern, the ongoing pattern that happens when it comes to black employees in these fast food spots. And I want y'all to tell me down in the comments, have you noticed that pattern as well? Because I know that I'm not the only one that has noticed this, but then again, I probably am. But if you've noticed it as well, please let me know. And maybe if you have any stories to tell yourself, maybe not necessarily about you, but maybe other incidents that maybe not have made it to the news, y'all can let me know down in the comments. And with that being said, I'm going to end the video on that note. Like, share, subscribe, hit that bell if you are new, and I'll talk to you in the next one.